them. If I had an extra bedroom, totally adopt you. You're adoptable. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we practiced.
So we've gone
We're ready
through those first 3 questions about what it means to have a culturally responsive classroom. So now we're to our 4th question, and that is, do I respect my students? And this makes me think of an example I had in my class, and this was a while back. I taught English, and I had a rowdy group of freshmen, and very mixed. This was at Tulare Union. We had African Americans, Hispanic Americans, we have some Hmong students, some Indian students, Caucasian. It was a very mixed group. They all got together really well, but there was kind of this ringleader of the orneriness, African American young man named Deshaun. And loved Deshaun, but I was kind of trying to rein him in. And I remember we were reading Mice and Men, which is pretty controversial book. And we got to the part where it talks about the handyman. His name is Crooks, and he's an African American. And I love reading bits of this out loud, but I was really struggling with, and I always have, I'm struggling with the N word, to be honest, struggling with saying that word. And so I'm just real open with the students, and I said, you know guys, I'm going to be reading this aloud, but I just can't say that word. There are other words I could say, but I can't say that word. And I'll never forget this moment where Deshaun stood up and he said, you know what, Mrs. Kern? I'll read it for you. I'll read it out loud for you. And the whole class was silent, and he read through that, and it was just so powerful how he was capturing that period in time, really kind of about part of his own history, and he was willing to read that out loud. So, you know, there was this mutual respect, even though he's a little bit ornery, that he felt like he could step up and do that. So what I would like you guys to think about now, think about your classrooms, and when you think about that we've talked about knowing the students, liking the students, understanding the students, but is there that respect? Are you giving them respect, and is there that mutual respect? And if so, if that answer is yes, how do you demonstrate that? And if you're a newer teacher and you're struggling with that, then how might you develop that sense of respect? So take just a minute, do your jot thought, and once your jot thought's written down, then have a little conversation, and then we'll get back to question 5. Okay, so go right ahead. I'll go. Okay. I feel like many of my students always have stories to share, whether it's like what they did over the weekend or, you know, at break. They always have something to say and they want to share it. And so just really, when they're sharing, asking questions to show that I am interested in what they have to say, whether it's related to class or completely just non-academic related. But I want them to know that I value what they're saying, and that I have that interest in them.
Okay, I'll go. I really try not to raise my voice even if they're pushing my buttons. I want to respect them by not yelling back. If they're going to yell, that's fine. I'm going to try to stay calm. And if it's necessary, I take a time out. I say, you know what, right now I just can't talk right now. Let's come back and talk about it later. I let the kids have a timeout, but I really want to respect them by not raising my voice.
What I do is, if the students are talking to, you know how we multitask and we can grade papers and do everything all at the same time.
I really try to give them my full attention, look at them, give them eye contact, and just listen to what they're saying, as opposed to just doing something else and kind of like, oh, okay, yeah, sure.
I said that I try to make sure that I have a very genuine connection with each and every one of my students. They truly know that I care by the way that I talk to them and the way that they talk back to me. It's evident that they know that I really care about them as human beings.